So they delivered this responsibility to the president. They were amending the Constitution. They literally said to the president, do whatever you want. And of course, politically, they thought they were going to get plenty of cover. Well, if the war goes badly, we'll say, oh, it's all the president's fault. But if it goes well, they'll say, oh, we supported it. But right now, you notice there are a few of them squirming with their indecisiveness and their hypocrisy that they took those many years ago. But the policy of non-intervention is the policy of the Founding Fathers. It's the policy of the Constitution. Matter of fact, there is a very, very strong strain of non-interventionism in foreign policy in the Republican Party, and let's remind them of that. Politically, peace is a winner, war is a loser. And quite frankly, the Republican Party has had more benefits by taking the opposite position that they hold today by arguing the case against what the Democrats have done. And yet now, the Republican Party, tragically, is in the position of defending a war that is indefensible. And they now are having a bit of trouble because of that. And there's no way that the Republicans can continue to do well without resolving this. But the Republican Party, just think, after Vietnam, after Korea, Eisenhower ran on, I'm going to get this war over with. I will go to Korea and I'm going to stop this. So the blunders of the Truman administration were corrected by Republicans coming in. Vietnam in 1968, that's what the election was about. Nixon didn't do his job, but he was elected because the country was sick and tired of a no-win war. Undeclared, no-win, illegal war that was draining us financially and draining our troops and everything else. So the Republicans had a political benefit from that. What about the year 2000? Where were we politically in 2000? I mean, our president was running on a program, well, this Clinton, he's a terrible guy. Look at the mess he had in Somalia, pretending to nation build, involving in internal affairs, policing the world. I, as President Bush said, I will have a humble foreign policy. And that won the election. People were reassured. I actually thought, that sounds good. I sort of like that. That's what I want. But here we are, as a party, in an indefensible position, and of course I'm making a suggestion now and then that not only would this country not benefit from a change of policy, the Republicans could benefit as well if they would change their ways in this regard. It always amazes me about, the strength and the conviction and the rightness of the Right to Life movement. Life is precious, and we should preserve life and allow life to come in. And yet, at the same time, I mentioned the fact that many of those same individuals are very careless about anxiously having the Selective Service and having a draft. One time I had a debate on the House floor with conservatives who were all in favor of the Selective Service. I was trying to defund the Selective Service. And I chastised them a bit. I said, in many ways, you think more of your guns than you do of your kids. You don't want your guns registered, but you want the government to register our kids. But we should never forget the teachings of the Christian church about a just war. The Christian church, in my understanding, there's always room for debates, but in my understanding of my Christianity, that I do not have to accept total pacifism. That I have a right, if somebody walks in my house, I can defend myself. And the Second Amendment protects me on that, too. In that we as a nation have a right, if somebody's going to attack us, if there is even an imminent attack, or if they do attack us, we have a right to protect ourselves and use violence against this threat of violence. The big problem is that when we go too far and spread ourselves too thin around the world and consume our wealth, it undermines our national defense, and that's where we are today. Our military is ill-equipped. and their morale is low. And of course, if you want our guard unit to protect something on our borders, or if we need a guard unit to take care of an emergency weather problem, where are our troops? They're over in the Middle East. We need to bring them home. And another group of people we would like to bring home. How about those 120 to 150 border guards that we took off our border and sent them to Iraq to train them to protect the borders over there? We need them home as well. But in the just war theory, there's a set of standards that we should follow. I think they're very reasonable. It's reasonable to have a defensive war. If we're attacked, we can do it. But the response should be proportional. And one thing is interesting, that doctrine says the proper authorities should declare the war, which means that we should strongly resent the fact that we now, including this transfer of power to go into Iraq, I resent very much that we send our kids over there to enforce UN resolutions. That's bad. Matter of fact, the best way to deal with that is not trying to pick and choose which are the good resolutions or the bad resolutions. It would be best for us and our national sovereignty and our interests just to get out of the United Nations.